Velkommen til denne session om Horizon Europe, EU's nye rammeprogram. Vi har glædet os til at præsentere dette nye spændende program, som giver mange gode muligheder for danske ansøgere til at få finansieret forsknings- og innovationsprojekter til gavn for Danmark, for Europa og for hele verden. Mit navn er Stephanie Bonde Jørgensen, og jeg vil sammen med min kollega Tina Gård Sander følge jer igennem de næste 45 minutter. Her får I en introduktion til de overordnede politiske rammer og målsætninger for Horizon Europe. Som ansøger skal man nemlig ikke kun have en god projektidé og være blandt de førende inden for sit felt. Man skal også kunne forklare, hvordan en projektidé kan bidrage til de ambitiøse målsætninger om et bæredygtigt og fremtidssikret Europa.
Vi har inviteret vicegeneraldirektør Patrick Child til at give os en hurtig indflyvning til Horizon Europe og hans syn på, hvad der er nyt og hvad der er vigtigt at have for øje. Patrick Child arbejder i Europa-kommissionens generaldirektorat for forskning og innovation og har i de seneste år været dybt engageret i udformningen af Horizon Europe. Og derefter så vil Jakob Just Madsen, som er daglig leder af Uddannelses- og Forskningsministeriets fremskudte bastion i Bruxelles, Danro, i dialog med Patrick Child yderligere udforske ambitionerne i programmet. Jakob Just Madsen har som en del af den danske delegation været dybt engageret i forhandlingerne omkring Horizon Europe.
I anden halvdel af denne session vil vi bevæge os fra de store overordnede linjer til mere konkrete muligheder for danske ansøgere. Vi har inviteret 3 repræsentanter fra danske organisationer, som arbejder målrettet på at understøtte danske ansøgere fra virksomheder, fra kommuner og fra forsknings- og uddannelsesinstitutioner til at diskutere, hvilke muligheder og udfordringer der er i deres øjne i Horizon Europe. Både for de danske ansøgere og for samarbejdet på tværs af brancher, fag og lande. Begge dele af denne session er blevet optaget på forhånd. I kan derfor ikke stille spørgsmål undervejs til talerne, men I kan stille spørgsmål og kommentere live i chatten, hvor Tina og jeg vil sidde klar til at svare.
Ja. Nu vil vi give ordet til Patrick Child.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to have this opportunity to address the Danish research and innovation community about our future research and innovation program, Horizon Europe, which will come on stream from the beginning of next year and take us until 2027. So Horizon Europe, our new program, very much builds on the success of our previous framework programs, and in particular the existing Horizon 2020 program. So we're talking, I think, more about an evolution rather than a revolution. So as with Horizon 2020, Horizon Europe will be based on a 3-pillar structure. A first pillar devoted to excellent science, where we will continue the work we've been doing through the European Research Council, the Marie Skłodowska-Curie scheme, as well as our work to support European research infrastructures. We will then have a second pillar which is devoted to thematic issues, so global challenges and industrial competitiveness, covering topics ranging from health, culture, digital, climate change, industry, and the bioeconomy, as well as the direct research that we support through the network of labs in the Joint Research Centre. And then a third pillar under the title of Innovative Europe, where we group together the support that we bring to the innovation infrastructures and landscapes in the European Union, in particular with support for innovation ecosystems, the existing European Institute of Innovation and Technology, and then a new dimension, which is the European Innovation Council, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on. But then just to conclude on the structure, we also have a strong emphasis running across the program on widening participation and strengthening the European research area. The support that we bring to all member states to help them achieve the best standards of research excellence that we find in the European Union today, with a considerably reinforced set of instruments to support member states' reforms and improvements, as well as more money for that as well. So moving to the new features of Horizon Europe and the lessons that we've learned from our experiences under Horizon 2020. Essentially, the new issues are the European Innovation Council that I mentioned in my previous slide. And this is a new body which is modeled a bit on the European Research Council. So we're trying to achieve the same sort of leading standard of excellence in our support for the innovation landscape as we have already established through the European Research Council. Secondly, we have introduced a new feature, research and innovation missions. So key topics which will, we hope, have greater relevance and impact for Europe's citizens, as well as promoting a deeper interdisciplinary and cross-sectoral cooperation in the work that we're doing. We've also extended the possibilities for association with international partners, including, of course, the established associated countries in the immediate neighbourhood of the European Union. We will have also to deal now with the specific case of the United Kingdom, depending on the outcome of the ongoing Brexit negotiations. We've also introduced a new approach to European partnerships, the way that we work together with industry in support of our research and innovation actions in areas where we are close to market and where the commercial exploitation and therefore the relationship with industry is particularly important, as well as reinforcing emphasis on open science and spreading excellence across all member states and associated countries. So now I just want to spend a little bit more time going into detail of some of these new features. So I start with the missions. So here, the idea with the missions, a bit, inspired by the moon landing in the US when that happened, trying to establish an inspirational goals, which will capture not only the enthusiasm and dynamism of the research community in Europe, but also responding directly and visibly to societal needs and citizens' expectations. And so a mission is a portfolio of activities which we hope will bring together in an interdisciplinary way research and innovation action behind an inspirational and measurable goal with direct impact for society. And so we've been working in the last months on preparing missions in a number of different areas, ranging from cancer to the way we use soil and sustainable agricultural production, cleaner oceans, climate adaptation, and smart and sustainable cities. And just recently at the Research and Innovation Days conference in Brussels in September, we had presentations of reports of mission boards, groups of experts that we've had working on these different missions, and we now have to decide how we go forward with that. But we're determined to see this as one of our main innovations in Horizon Europe. We also have a fresh approach to European partnerships. So we have an established landscape of many different types of partnership. I think that in our previous count under Horizon 2020, we have 120, 130 different partnerships on different legal models. And so we've tried to rationalize our approach to this under three different sort of types of partnership, ranging from the more formal, the institutionalized partnership with a specific legal base and an established institutional program office to help us with implementation. Co-funded partnerships where we and our partners, whether member states, industry bodies or others, put money into a single pot, which is then managed in a collective way, but without a sort of strong legal backing. And then thirdly, the co-program partnerships where we sit together and decide, using our own different implementation models, how the objectives of the partnership can be best achieved, drawing on the strengths of all the different actors. So that's something that we've been working on with the stakeholder communities involved in all the partnerships and where we are looking forward to going ahead. I mentioned earlier the European Innovation Council. This is one of the most visible new features of Horizon Europe, where we're trying to create a more responsive, more agile, more resilient way of supporting scale-ups and startups of business to transfer the excellent research results that we get from European universities and research centres into commercial success. Because this is the area where I think in Europe we are perhaps weakest in terms of international benchmarking, and where this new European Innovation Council, we hope, will be able to fill a real gap in the market and helping innovators to create new markets and to boost their innovation potential. and we hope to achieve the same sort of level of visibility and success that we've achieved with the European Research Council. So those were what I wanted to say in terms of the main new elements, sort of missions, the partnerships, and the European Innovation Council. In terms of process, where are we today? We've had a lot of conversations with member states, with stakeholders, and other actors in preparation for the first work programs of Horizon Europe over the summer. We had the Research and Innovation Days that I mentioned in September of this year. We had a previous conference last year, and of course with the new Commission, with a strong emphasis on the new Commission priorities, including the European Green Deal, digital transformation, of course now the post-COVID recovery. And now we are in the middle of drafting what we call a strategic plan for the future Horizon Europe program. So a sort of framing document which will cover the first 4 years of the program, which we hope to adopt before the end of this year. And then we're also deeply engaged now in our discussions with member states and stakeholders on the first work programs, which will apply from 2021 and 2022. We need, of course, for that to have the final confirmation of the budget of Horizon Europe. And the really good news, I think, coming from the discussions between the Council and the European Parliament yesterday, was that there is now a deal on the overall budget for the EU for the next 7 years. And within that, there's been also the decision to increase the budget for Horizon Europe by another 4 billion euros, so taking us to something like 84 billion euros for the next 7 years. So that puts us in a really good position, I think, to adopt the first Horizon Europe work programs at the beginning of next year. We're aiming for April of 2021 for the adoption of the work programs and the launch of the first course. So that's what I wanted to say, just to set the scene for our discussion, but looking forward now to going more into detail on some aspects in a question and answer session, which I know will now follow. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Very interesting presentation of the new program. I would like, if it's okay with you, just to spend approximately 10 minutes just to go into a bit more into depth of some of the new features of the new program. What struck me when you showed the structure is now we have the whole second pillar with the clusters. So it's not even more challenges, it's clusters, it's much broader. What would your message be for researchers, for companies, and so on, in terms of approach? That sort of, if you're coming out of the silos, where do we go with what is the purpose of this structure?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. In framing the structure within our pillar 2, the thematic part of the program, we've made a real effort to streamline and sort of break silos between different thematic areas. So, for example, I'm personally very much involved in the new cluster, the cluster 5, devoted to climate, mobility, and energy, whereas in the previous program we had separate work streams for each of those 3 societal challenges. And I think the idea is to help us boost a more systemic approach, to really encourage interdisciplinary cooperation. Because if you're looking at some of these key themes of the European Green Deal, for example, it's increasingly clear that if you can't just take the energy system in isolation. The energy system is intimately linked with how we use energy, which means how we live and work in cities, for example, mobility, but also our objectives for climate change are deeply dependent on how we advance with reforms of the energy and mobility system. So bringing those things together gives an opportunity, I hope, for much greater interdisciplinary collaboration. So our collaborative research projects work on the basis of consortia, where we encourage a different range of actors from different member states, from different disciplines, from different types of organization, whether it's companies, universities, research bodies, or other actors. And we hope that we'll be able to take a step further in this direction with this new cluster structure that we proposed in our pillar 2.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting, and of course you mentioned cluster 5 with energy, mobility, and climate, which you can't do one without impacting the other or without needing the other. But it goes for the other clusters as well. Digital industry, you can't separate them. In fact, digital would go across pretty much everything these days.
Indeed.
Where do you see then SSH, the social sciences and humanities? Because they've always, we talk a lot about them, and they have a space in the cluster, but is there room for them? Is there a need for them in the rest of the program?
No, we are deeply committed to the mainstreaming of SSH. And I mean, if you think about some of the challenges that we're facing, whether it's the achieving full climate neutrality by 2050, whether it's the digital revolution, whether it's the post-COVID recovery. I mean, these are things which deeply affect the way that our societies, the way our economies are functioning. And unless we've got a really good understanding upstream of the potential consequences of some of the technological developments that we're looking for through a strong and sustained SSH level of activity, we won't get there. I mean, already the European Research Council has a large part of its activities devoted to the social sciences, and I think that that's great, and that will continue. But what we want to see also, as well as the dedicated actions under the Pillar 2 in this area, that the socio-economic implications are not only sort of managed, but well anticipated through the research activities that we're doing in the different thematic areas. So I would certainly very strongly encourage consortia that are putting together project proposals to bring